that newspaper article is about the best description I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
I want that.
Well, I mean, in your own words.
No, well, it started out as a telegraph operator they were on duty on Christmas Eve over the holiday. They had nothing to do. Nobody was sending a telegram out particularly. So they made up these pictures to send to each other from one telegraph operator to another around the country or around the world. And that's where a lot of these all the stuff in that newspaper there, most of that was done way back then by fellows like that. Mm-hmm. And they sent to each other. And that was teletype in those days. And eventually the radio amateurs were authorized to use teletype on the air. See, in the beginning we weren't allowed to send teletype over the radio. Mm-hmm. And finally, I forget what year, around 1950, the FCC authorized us to use a teletype mode on the air. And so we started typing to each other. And of course, that meant we got a teletype machine to begin with, which meant that we probably had a thing that would punch tape and read tape. And so we found out that these telegraph guys who had been sending pictures for years before we ever got into it, mm-hmm. had tapes around in their lockers, and God, they were buried. I had them dig them out. I went around and found guys that had them, and they would give them to me. I would get the tapes, the originals, and sometimes they were beat up. I had to edit them and clean them up and all. But it was that kind of stuff. We inherited it from the telegraph operators. And once we got it, we could send it to any other radio amateur anywhere in the world. And this caught on. Of course, you had to have a teletype setup. It was not simple. You had to know what you were doing mm-hmm. to get a teletype machine hooked to your radio. And so it was a kind of an exclusive group, really. It wasn't the average CB operator or anything like that. Because we had to hook up a machine and figure out how to hook it up to our radio and build the circuits to convert the radio signal to the machine signal and vice versa. And so... and of course, we exchanged information about it. We told each other, I've got a circuit here that'll do this and that. And so it kind of spread among the hams and became popular. And then once we got a hold of these tapes from the telegraph offices, we said, hey, this is neat. We can send this. We don't have to sit here and type and figure out what to say while we're typing. We can put a tape on and say, here, I'm going to send you a picture. Mm-hmm. And we would run the thing and send the tape. It made it a lot easier, and it would keep going, because sitting there typing is a lot of work after an hour or two.
Right.